In today's episode, we'll be talking about my top rookies rankings for this upcoming season. It's not dynasty, it's just for this season. And with that, going into my rankings, some of my rankings are going to be a little skewed in different ways. One, there's going to be guys that I think you just plug in and play from day one. And there are going to be guys that you're going to need some injuries or some opportunities for them to come their way. And then there's going to be positions, obviously, like quarterbacks that might get you a lot of points, much more than the other positions. So that's all kind of baked into how I have my rankings. I'm listing 15 players. So I have a tier, and it's basically, let's just break right into it. Top three are the running backs: Ashawn Denti, Omarion Hampton, and Travion Henderson. I think they're all going to be top 25 running backs this year. Now, as far as where you draft them, for example, Genti's going much higher than Hampton, and Hampton's going much higher than Henderson. So it's just kind of where the draft picks fall, and if you want to reach for a rookie. Rookies are always big gambles, drafting high, except, for example, a guy like Genti. Even though he's probably not going to be used on third down, that'll be Mostert's role. He will be the featured back on a run-first offense, on a good offense. And if history shows, generally when a running back is drafted first round in the NFL draft, they do well fantasy-wise, whether it be guys like Todd Gurley, Ezekiel Elliott, etc. So with that being said, it's not to say that Genti won't be good, but do I think he's going to be top 5? Probably not. Do I think he's going to be top 10? Probably. A guy like Omarion Hampton, for example, I thought was the most talented coming out of college. And he lands very similar in a run-first heavy offense. And the one thing I think will be beneficial for him versus the other guys is that he's a big power back, but his team will probably also be leading in the fourth, so he might have a lot more of those 20 to 25 carry games than the other guys. While, for example, Henderson, I do believe Stevenson and Gibson will have a role, but I do believe from a overall season he'll be clearly the number one back, but from week to week it can change as far as role, depending on game script. But I do think he's the most explosive player on the offense for New England, and I do expect them to take a big step forward. The next guy I have is Tyler Warren. Like I said to you in my previous segment about tight ends, he's just an elite tight end and an elite playmaker, and if you can get him, get him. Not much more to say about him. The next three are my receivers. They're, to me, the top elite receivers that'll probably finish in the top 25-30 this year. The guy I have number one, and I tell people this all the time, I apologize, I can barely speak English. I think it's one of the most impressive things when people can speak multiple languages. But anyway, as Taterial McMillan from Carolina Panthers. I loved his skill set. I loved his tape. The one thing I was concerned about him coming out of college was how he said he doesn't watch film. I'm like, does he really love the game of football, or does he just use his talent to get him basically a job that he likes? And it seems like everything I've heard from camp, everything I've seen from the preseason, he's the same guy that I saw in Arizona. I'm a little bit more bullish on Carolina than other people. I expect it's going to be a top 15 offense, and he's the number one receiver and pass catcher in that offense. So I can see him being a top 15 receiver with his talent and opportunity. Emeka Egbuka, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. To me, he was the best wide receiver coming out in this draft class. But at the same time, he landed in this situation after the draft where you had Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan, and him. Well, now Jalen McMillan's hurt. He's going to be on the IR. Chris Godwin's hurt start season. Mike Evans is older. So Egbuka could definitely finish as the number one receiver on the top 10 offense. And Baker Mayfield's already compared him to Amon-Ra St. Brown. People forget Amon-Ra was not this big hyped guy coming out. And the one thing I loved about Egbuka is not being super tall or super fast. He can catch the jump ball, has great hands, great route runner. And I just expect him, now with the Godwin and McMillan news, that he's probably going to be a top 25 receiver for the whole season. And again, maybe even higher. As far as talent, Travis Hunter, you could argue, is more talented than any of these guys. But let's keep two things straight. One, he is clearly the number 2 pass catcher on his team. Brian Thomas is number 1. Brian Thomas, as a rookie, had a top 5 rookie season ever for a wide receiver. So he is the number 1 pass catcher on that team. Let's not get that twisted. Second, Liam Cohen brought in De'Ami Brown because he thought he was undervalued and underutilized in Washington. They have Parker Washington. They have Brent Strange. They're going to run the ball. They throw to the running backs a lot. And then if you take that, that's a concern. And then the second concern I have is that there's going to be games where they're going to need Travis Hunter more on defense than offense. I know they said that it's going to be like a 70-30 split or something like that, but there might be one game where they need the opposite, where he might get only 4 targets because they need him on defense. And then the next game, they don't really need him on defense, and he has 6 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. The inconsistency and the uncertainty of what his actual role will be has me nervous, which is why I'm at 7. But if I knew that he was going to be like, they had this huge role and they weren't going to spread the ball around like they seem to claim to be, I'd probably have him above McMillan. RJ Harvey is going to get plenty of opportunity. I wasn't a big fan of his coming out of college, but Sean Payton, I'm a big fan of him. Sean Payton, except for last year, always has good running backs. And if you look at Denver's running back situation, he's clearly the number 1 running back. And if you look at Denver right now, they have one of the better teams in football. If you look at Denver right now on the offensive side, outside of Sutton and Ingram, you don't really have other playmakers. He'll probably be one of the top 3 playmakers on a top team and a top offense in the league. Generally, that relates to fantasy success. I'd be shocked if he's not a top 25. Could probably be a top 20 running back for this year, fantasy-wise. The next 2 guys I have are quarterbacks. One will start the season. The other one won't start the season. In the 2 quarterback leagues, I don't think they're bad to gamble with. Or if you, one quarterback league, if you take a stud like Hurts or Burrow, someone like that, and you want to take a late round flyer on one of these rookies, because they might pop at the end of the season, no problem. Cam Ward and Jackson Dart. Cam Ward reminds me of Kyler Murray. Think he's a little bit bigger, a little bit better of a passer, a little bit worse of a runner. But that's kind of the comp. I don't expect him to crack the top 10 quarterback this year, but could he finish 15 to 20? Yeah, absolutely. The other quarterback is Jackson Dart. Looks very impressive. Was good in college. Very similar to Bo Nix coming out. Played at big level programs. Has all the quarterback traits, size, arm, mobility. It was that because he had all that talent, he would sometimes make mistakes. That was, again, Jackson Dart's knock. With that being said, the Giants are not going to be winning a lot of games. So when he does take over for their team, they have a decent team. So the ability for him to run the football and then for them losing as much as they will be, I think he, again, when he comes in, will be a top 20 quarterback the rest of the way. These are guys, to me, that are all flyers. Deontay Thornton for the Las Vegas Raiders. They drafted 2 receivers. He was the second one they drafted. He's looked the better. From the get-go, he's been the starter outside of Jacoby Myers. And with Brock Bowers, he's the big play receiver. You could argue that he will be the number 2 passing target on this team. And if he is behind Brock Bowers, he could see top 25 potential. I have him as a top 35 receiver, though, for the season. Matthew Golden for Green Bay. They don't have really any pass catchers. He is going to be their pass catcher. And even if they are eliminated from playoff contention, they should give him a lot of run down the stretch. So I think he's a safe, a high floor, low ceiling play. Kyle Monunga, running back from the Bears. They want to run the football. They are going to use 2 backs, and he is the second back behind DeAndre Swift. He might not be a name that you think about. He's a guy that's currently going undrafted in most drafts. I would definitely be trying to grab him. Again, you're always looking for running backs and receivers late that could potentially become weekly starters for you, and he's just one of those guys. He reminds me of a worse Jahmyr Gibbs. Short, powerful, shifty, speed. To me, he's not as fast as Gibbs, but he has all the other things very similar to Gibbs. Kyle Williams, New England Patriots. They love him. I love them. Generally, if you draft a player in the first, second, or third round, they're going to be starters for you the rookie season. He was drafted in the 3rd round. Stephon Diggs is their number 1 receiver. I think that'll stay the case. But you have Pop Douglas, who's going to be a slot receiver. You have Kayshon Boutte, and you have him. My question is very similar to Henderson. I don't think they care about our fantasy. They're going to care more about winning games. So once Kyle Williams shows that he is clearly their best guy, he's going to get the reps. But Until then, it's going to be very inconsistent and hard to trust him on a week-to-week basis. But if you were to tell me by the end of the year he is their number one pass catcher on a team, in my opinion, the Patriots that will be a lot better and should be a top 15 offense, that wouldn't shock me. And the guy I have last in my rookie rankings, and he's a pure handcuff. I just thought talent-wise, he was with those three running backs I was telling you earlier that I really liked coming out, in Genty, Hampton, and Henderson, and that's DJ Giddens. DJ Giddens is a handcuff to Jonathan Taylor, who's an elite running back. He's not going to see any time unless Jonathan Taylor gets hurt. But if Jonathan Taylor gets hurt, which he did last year, Giddens could be a top 15 running back. He's that talented, and they will use him in that way. So that's just kind of how I view my rookies. Again, these are not for Dynasty. It's for this year. Everyone is a little bit different because some are guys that you can count on to be starters. Some are guys that you're just going to have to sit on your bench. Some guys you might not even want to draft, but you're just going to keep an eye on, see how the season plays out early on. But again, they're my rookie rankings for this upcoming season. This is the Sports Jawn. I am Ryan Wolfson.